Hey everybody. So there's a team that I think has really flown under the radar for much of this season and has not gotten talked about nearly as much as they should be. I don't think I've really talked about them that much, and that's the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets are having a fantastic year this year. They have 59 points. They're in second place in the Metropolitan Division, and nobody's really talking about them. So when Columbus does get talked about, it's constantly been about Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky, both who are UFAs at the end of this season, and their contract situations, whether they'll get traded, whether they'll get re-signed. That's what people are talking about with Columbus. They're not talking about the fact that this is a team that could finish in first place in the Metropolitan Division and go on a deep playoff run. This is a very good hockey team, and I think it's worth talking about. So, both my videos today are going to be about the Blue Jackets. Some people probably won't like that, but I really haven't talked about this team at all this year. So I think that they're due at least a couple of videos given how good they've been. So this video is I'm going to talk about their season, where they're at, where I think they can go in the playoffs, things like that. And then I'll record a video right after this that will go more in depth about the particular Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky contract situations. But for right now, let's look at the Blue Jackets and what they've done this season. 48 games played. They're 28, 17, and 3. 59 points, tied with Washington in second place, points-wise in the Metro Division, ahead of Washington based on tiebreakers. They have 154 goals for, 146 goals against, plus 8 goal differential. Their power play is operating at a 14.6% rate. I'd like to see that get higher. That doesn't bode well for long-term success. But their penalty kill is at 82.9%. Their PK is good. Anything over 80, you've got to be happy with. So up near 83% is a pretty darn good penalty kill for Columbus. And I have that they are 12th in the league in goals for. And I wanted to point that out because if you go back at the beginning of the season, one of my biggest concerns with Columbus was, were they going to be able to score enough goals? Obviously, Panarin was going to score. Atkinson was going to score. They have big-time goal scorers there. But my concern was the team as a whole going to be able to score enough goals to win games? Were they going to get secondary scoring? Were they going to get good seasons from players other than Panarin and Atkinson? Because you can't win a lot of games in the NHL with only 2 goal scorers. You have to get contributions from other places. And I wonder, looking at Columbus's roster going into the year, I really wondered, were they going to get those contributions? This was a team that I had potentially missing the playoffs, at best being a wild card team, and they've been a lot better than that. One of the biggest reasons they've been a lot better than that is because they're getting goal scoring from other places. Yes, Cam Atkinson has been lighting it up this year. Artemi Panarin's having a good year. Pierre-Luc Dubois is having a great season. But they've gotten secondary scoring from other places as well. They've gotten contributions from their second line, their third line. Their defense has put up some points. They're scoring as a team, and they're scoring more than enough to be successful this season in the NHL. Top 15 in the league in goals for, almost top 10. They're perfectly fine offensively. So one of those big question marks at the beginning of the season, they passed the test, put a big check mark next to it. Goal scoring has been fine for Columbus. So overall, this is a team that I think is in very good shape. They're hanging in right there with Washington and New York. The Islanders are currently in first place in that division with 62 points. Columbus is only 3 points behind. They certainly could win the division. They could drop to third. I don't really see them dropping below third, although it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility with Pittsburgh right there. Overall, the Metropolitan Division is a very, very tight division this year. All of those teams from 1 down through like 5 or 6 are all right on top of each other within a few points. Nothing is guaranteed in that division, but Columbus has played really well this year. They're playing good hockey. and they're winning games. And overall, they've been impressive. They've been a lot better this year than I thought they were going to be. And this is a team that I look at and think they're not just trying to make the playoffs. They should be locked into a playoff spot. They should be thinking deep playoff run. They've got some really good young players: Wenberg, Dubois, Werenski, and Jones on the back end. They've also got a lot of veteran guys. They've got a lot of heart and soul character type players. Brandon Dubinsky, Boone Jenner, Nick Foligno, guys like that. So they're built to be able to play well in the playoffs. They've got a good mix of that veteran leadership and young talent. They've got a good mix of offensive skill and talent, and then hard-nosed, in-your-face, gritty hockey. John Tortorella, whether you love him or hate him, he's a fantastic NHL coach. So they've got a good guy behind the bench. It almost seems like the biggest question mark for them going into the playoffs is goaltending. Sergei Bobrovsky is the starter. Korpisalo is the backup. Bobrovsky contracts up at the end of this year. Notoriously bad playoff performer. Bobrovsky has consistently put up great regular seasons. He's put up Vezina-level regular seasons. But he's a notoriously bad playoff performer. He just seems to not be able to get over the hump in the playoffs, and Columbus is consistently out in the first round because of it. Now, Korpisalo continues to develop and get better. He's been able to play more games this year. I think if you rest Bobrovsky a little bit more, maybe if he goes into the playoffs not playing as many games in the regular season, and maybe a little more rested, he'll perform better in the postseason. Because for a number of years there, Bobrovsky was playing 70-ish games in the regular season, and he's completely worn out and gassed by playoff time, and that's been an issue. But now that Korpisalo has developed and gotten to the point where he can play more games now, maybe you give Bobrovsky some rest and you let him come into the playoffs a little more fresh and see if that improves his playoff performance. But overall, this is a team that I look at and I absolutely think they're a playoff team. I think they should finish in the top 3 of the Metro Division. They're right there with the Islanders and Washington. I think they could finish ahead of either of those teams. They could also finish below either of those teams, but they should finish ahead of Pittsburgh. I do think they're a better team than Pittsburgh, and they're having a really good season this year. So overall, I found Columbus to be a very under the radar impressive team this year. And the question that continues to surround this team is the contracts of Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky, the trade potential there, and what's going to happen with those players. I'm going to get more in depth into that in the next video. But overall, with it, you have a team competing for first place. How can you trade either of those players off the team at this point? And I'll talk more about it in the next video. But how can you trade great players like that and important players off of a first place or potential first place team? I don't think you can do that. I think they need to think about this year, think about going on a deep playoff run, and gear up for the postseason. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.